Hi, this is Shambhavi. Welcome to my weekly podcast about spirituality, love, death, devotion, and waking up while living in a messy world. The Satsang with Shambhavi podcast is recorded live each week with students of our nonprofit community, Jayakula. For more information and to find out about attending a satsang, visit jayakula.org. Thanks for listening. Much love to you, wherever and however you are. I'm going to talk about something I rarely ever talk about, which is impermanence. I talked to a Buddhist on the phone today, so it reminded me. No, actually it's the leaves turning that reminded me. And one of the extraordinary things about moving to the East Coast after so many years on the West Coast is that shock of just watching everything die. The extremeness of the seasons here. I mean, we have seasons on the West Coast, but nothing like this. So in 100 years or so, everyone that's here, every single person on the planet will be gone. And what should we make of that? It's not just about waving a finger at somebody and saying, you know, you're going to die. When we think of our impermanence, what is it that we hope to get out of remembering impermanence? What should we do about remembering impermanence? How should we relate to that idea or certainty? Most of you know I visited my father last weekend, and he's 90 and he's not in good health. And he has a cascading number of health issues. But he's resisting that as hard as he possibly can. So he doesn't want anyone to know what condition he's in. He doesn't want people to relate to him as someone with infirmities. He is also in some ways lying to himself about his condition. He doesn't want to be associated with old people. We were in this wonderful cafe. It's like a community cafe whose mission, it's a nonprofit cafe, their mission is to bring together people of different generations. And they have all kinds of things going on. And I had heard from my dad's partner that he liked to play Scrabble, but he doesn't have anyone to play Scrabble with. So I thought, well, this could be a cool place to come play Scrabble. Get together a little group of people. Probably the cafe would sponsor it. And apparently the director of activities of the cafe is also 90 years old. And my dad got upset with me. He said, my friends are younger. I don't really want to hang out with a bunch of 90-year-olds. So there's a lot of suffering in that. Right? He was choking a lot because he has a lot of phlegm building up in his system. His lymph system is going on the fritz. And he kept choking on his food and coughing and was having a really hard time breathing. All kinds of things were going on. And, he didn't want to say that anything was wrong. At one point he just kept choking and choking at dinner, but he was obviously trying to not have anyone notice. And so I said, why don't you go in the bathroom so you can, just freely kind of do what you need to do. And he got upset with that. He said, it's not phlegm, it's just liquid. He didn't want anyone to know. He keeps driving even though he's 90 and he has neuropathy in his legs and he has only partial feeling in his legs. All of this is creating a huge amount of stress. So the first thing that thinking of our impermanence regularly can do is get us used to the idea of our impermanence. If we only think about it every now and then, and it's a shock every time we think of it or we push that idea away, then it's like we haven't come to terms with our real condition. And then we might get to the end of our lives and not be able to relax. And we know that the most important thing for anyone, whether or not we're a practitioner, whether or not we're compos mentis enough to do practice while we're dying, the most important thing is that we die in as relaxed a condition as possible. So if we haven't gotten acclimatized or accustomed or if we haven't come to terms with the fact that this is going to go away, then when we get to that point, we aren't going to be as relaxed as we might have been. We might still be struggling against even acknowledging that. Right? And that's like an added layer of struggle that we really don't need. That's not going to serve us. And then I think the other most important thing in thinking about the fleetingness of our existence in this form is to inspire us to choose a form of life that we actually find fulfilling and satisfying. Many people, if not most people, who are not being aware of how short their lives are making very long-term plans. They're saving for retirement, they're trying to acquire things for the long term. They have jobs that they don't like very often because they're concerned about long-term security. And then there's a great deal of attachment to things in the here and now that without regard to your actual contentment or actual fulfillment. So people stay, for instance, this is very common, they stay in unsatisfying relationships or even very damaging relationships with other people, friendships or love relationships, because they simply don't want to be alone or they're afraid of something. And then, a whole lifetime can be frittered away like this in a relative condition of unhappiness, trading your brief time here for some semblance of safety, not recognizing that your life is so fleeting. If we have in our mind the understanding that our life is very fleeting, and it could be much more fleeting than we anticipate, then there is another thought that could come, which is, maybe I should just have the life I most want. Maybe I should be in relationships with people I actually want to be in relationships with. Maybe I should seek some kind of contentment. Maybe I should try to resolve some karmas. Maybe I should try to prepare for what's to come. Maybe I should just allow myself more happiness and don't trade my happiness for security, because we don't know what's going to happen next. A lot of people live their lives as if their lives haven't started yet. This is a kind of a thing, right? Everything that they think about is about what's going to happen in the future, or some preparation for some future time when they're going to be happy and secure. And everything now is just viewed as a preamble or the prequel to their real life, which is always receding into the distance. And they're making a lot of compromises and trade-offs. Sometimes I say to people, this is your life. Right now, you're living it. This is it. And, some of you are laughing a little bit because you recognize what I'm talking about. We don't often think, this is my life right now. This is it. It's not to come. It's happening right now. The thought of our impermanence, the frequent thought of our impermanence, and the understanding that whatever this configuration is that we are embodying is never going to happen again. Never. You might be a reincarnated tulku, what do I know? But you might be a secret dakini, what do I know? But you're never going to be this again. So if there's anything you value about your life, or how you showed up this time, you might want to do something with it. You might want to exercise your virtue. You might want to go for what you actually want. You might want to try to live how you actually want to live. You might want to take some more risks to create the form of life that actually suits you. This is the benefit of thinking about impermanence. There's no point thinking tomorrow or a year from now or 5 years from now. Then I'll say what I need to say. Then I'll do what I want to do. Then I'll try to find the people I want to be with. Then I'll do spiritual practice after I've done this crappy job that I hate and saved for my retirement or whatever it is. There's no point thinking like that, because you could get hit by a truck in a week. Or you could find yourself in an even worse situation than being hit by a truck in a week, which is that you live to be 90 and you keep putting everything off to some mythical future when you're going to try to be happy, try to express your inner value freely without impediment, without regard to all of the obstacles that you've been told you have to bow down to. And then, of course, this is one of the gaps in teachings about impermanence, which is that then you have to grapple with the reality of permanence. That what you're doing now is preparation for ongoing life. And that you might have some possibility, if you live well now, of continuing this game, this fun that we're having. If you were just not having any fun, some people aren't having very much fun, but we get to be in a community of people and play this game of sadhana and do goofy things like have upaplavya Thanksgivings. I mean, we actually are having some fun, despite how much we complain. And we could continue to do that if we prepare. But when we are too concerned with the fiction of safety and the fiction of you have to pay your dues in some ordinary conventional way, then you really aren't preparing for eternity. You can only prepare for eternity by becoming more free, by becoming more freely expressive of wisdom virtues, by becoming more aware of how things actually are, how you actually are, how reality actually is. That's the only way you can prepare for eternity. And the only way you can really meet it is with awareness and a laugh. All your earnestness about your life that you're really putting off till tomorrow or next week or next year will not serve you in the halls of eternity. So we have to learn how to have fun. And we have to learn how to inhabit a life we really want to inhabit. I always have said to people, Jayakula is me creating my ideal society, and some people weirdly enough have decided to go along with me. But everyone should be trying to create their ideal society or their ideal life or their ideal way of being in the world. Everyone should be doing that. That resolves karma, right? When we feel our own value, when we feel our own virtue, and we try to express that with other people, we're in a communicative situation. This isn't something we can ever do on our own. So impermanence teaches us that there is no time like the present, there is no more time, and there is also all the time. So we have to be aware of impermanence, and we have to prepare for eternity. One thing you could think of is those of you that are making a lot of compromises is, how would you like to be doing that for eternity? Sounds pretty scary to me. I think since I was sentient, I've always been trying to inspire people to be more free and express themselves more and not be slaves to convention. I mean, we don't want to be slaves to unconventionality either. I'm not advocating unconventionality for the sake of it. But inevitably, when we feel our virtue and we feel our value and we express it, we end up being at least a little bit unconventional. But the idea is that we act as freely as we can in the world according to our own inner sense of value and virtue and what we want to express, what we want to do, not what we think we have to do. So I'm going to stop there.